closed. Your vocab notebook should be open to the first clean page in your vocab notebook. And the title of this chapter is Going to the Library. So at the top you should have Going to the Library. It is a chapter title, so it is in quotation marks. However, it is also the title of your note, so it is also underlined. And then today's date, May 3rd, 2021. Yes?
How many words will we have today?
6. So you'll do the first 3, and Cullen, you'll do the last 3. So Carly, you'll do numbers 1 through 3. Cullen, you'll do numbers 4 through 6. Okay, number 1. Number 1 is the word peculiar. Peculiar. P-E-C-U-L-I-A-R. Peculiar. P-E-C-U-L-I-A-R. Peculiar. It is an adjective, so it's a describing word. It describes a noun. It's an adjective. That means that something is strange and unusual. So peculiar is an adjective. That means something is strange and unusual. Yes, Zari.
I was able to get that definition by just listening to it, but I'm not really able to see the board. It's always blurry.
Okay. Is it not refocusing? Sorry. Okay, I think that's as good as I can get it. Is it a little better?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Peculiar in context. We thought it was peculiar that no one was carrying an umbrella even though it was raining out. So it was very strange that even though it was raining, it was in the process of raining, nobody had an umbrella. The next word is the word snuffle. 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 S-N-U-F-F-L-E. Snuffle. S-N-U-F-F-L-E. Snuffle. Make sure you're not spelling it E-L, because it is not E-L, it is L-E. S-N-U-F-F-L-E. Snuffle is a verb. And it means to breathe loudly. So snuffle, S-N-U-F-F-L-E, is a verb meaning to breathe loudly. Here it is in context. I could hear the dog as he snuffled along the trail in the woods. So he was sniffing along very loudly. Number 3 is the word positive. Positive. P-O-S-I-T-I-V-E. Positive. P-O-S-I-T-I-V-E. Positive. Positive is another adjective. And it means that someone or something is certain. Positive, P-O-S-I-T-I-V-E, is an adjective meaning that someone or something is certain of something, of their thoughts. Yes?
It also means happy.
It can, but in this case we're using it to mean that someone or something is certain.
Bless you.
Thank you. So in context, we were positive that the tracks in the snow could only have been made by a bear. So they are certain. We're using it as a synonym for certain.
Bless you.
It can also mean that somebody is happy, they have a positive attitude. But in this case, we're using it meaning that someone is certain of something. We're using it as a synonym for certain. Yes, Carla, quickly.
You have forgot to tell me to put something beside.
Okay, well, I don't need to anymore because it's been about 9 months since school started, so I don't need to tell you to do that anymore. You just know, if I already told you of 1 through 3, then go ahead and indicate to yourself to do that. Just like Cullen knows, since I told her she's doing 4 through 6, she knows how to indicate that to herself. Okay. Number 4 is the word select. Select. S-E-L-E-C-T. Select. S-E-L-E-C-T. Select. Kingston, you're being very distracting to people. Have you written the definitions? Do you have select written? Okay. Select is a verb that means to choose. We have some short definitions today. So select, S-E-L-E-C-T, is a verb that means to choose. Here it is in context. Our committee was in charge of selecting a service project for the spring. So we're using it as a synonym for choose. Remember, synonym are words that mean what? Synonyms are words that mean, Lena?
The same thing.
The same thing. They're 2 different words that mean the same thing. So positive is a synonym for certain or sure. Select is a synonym for choose. Sorry, not verb. Snuffle could be a synonym for sniffle. Peculiar is a synonym for strange or unusual. So we have lots of synonyms today. Number 5. Well, I guess it's good that today I forgot to give you definitions for homework. We have short definitions. Is the word consist. Consist. C-O-N-S-I-S-T. Consist. You know what? I don't have a good definition for that. My book does not have the glossary, I don't think. So, I need somebody to look it up. It has ed at the end, but I went ahead and used the present tense. Raise your hand once you've got it. Zari, what part of speech is the word consist? Now, it appears as consisted in your glossary, but we're going to put consist. What part of speech is consist, Zari?
Consist. The one I found it. Okay. Verb.
It's a verb. It's a verb, and what is the definition, Zari?
Is made up, contained, or was made up.
Okay, good. So consist is a verb that means to contain or to be made up of. So consist is a verb that means to contain. That means it has things in it, or to be made up of something. So consist, C-O-N-S-I-S-T, is a verb. It's an action, and it means to contain or to be made up of. Here it is in context. The hearty meal consisted of soup, salad, a half sandwich, and an apple. So consist is a synonym for contain. We could say the hearty meal contained soup, salad, a half sandwich, and an apple, and it would mean the same thing. And last word is the word advanced. Advanced. A-D-V-A-N-C-E-D. Advanced. A-D-V-A-N-C-E-D. Advanced. Now we're not using this as a verb. The verb means to move forward. We're using this as an adjective. A describing word. We're using advanced to describe someone or something. And advanced means that something is fully developed or formed. Advanced, A-D-V-A-N-C-E-D, is an adjective, meaning that something is fully developed or formed. So a butterfly would be an advanced form of a caterpillar. It's fully formed. So remember, Carla, you have numbers 1 through 3. Cullen, you have numbers 4 through 6. Don't put your vocab notebooks away because we need to write, we're going to add to our notes the skill that we're working on this week. So go ahead and finish those and then put your pencil down so that I know that you're ready for me to move on. So the skill we are working on this week is summarizing. Summarizing. S-U-M-M-A-R-I-Z-I-N-G. 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 Summarizing. Summarizing means to create a Summarizing means to create a summary. You've been doing this all year long with what? Ethan? Your reading logs. Very good. Some of you have really been working on this. Because a summary is a short statement. A summary is a short statement of the ideas or events in a story written in your own words. So summarizing means to create a summary. Well, what's a summary? A summary is a short statement of the ideas or events in a story written in your own words, not copied directly from the text or the book or whatever, but in your own words. It also means a short statement of the ideas or events in the whole story, not just one part of the story. So some of you have really been doing well with this, where you're summarizing the whole thing you read instead of one little part, and you're doing it in your own words. Some of you will need to continue to work on that. Yes, Mason?
If we copy straight from the book, it's plagiarizing.
That is called plagiarizing. Copying straight from the book is called plagiarizing. However, there are times where that is okay. Like when you have short answer questions on like a quiz or an assignment, and it's just short answer, where you only need like one sentence, if even. Then yes, you can copy it straight from the book. Or if you have a vocabulary question. Most of the time, if you have a vocabulary question, the best way to answer that is to copy it straight from the book or the dictionary or the text or whatever. Okay. So in order to create a summary, in order to summarize, you need to think as you're reading, is this important to the outcome of the story? Don't just write, they ate bacon for breakfast. Because unless that is a really important event, like they talk about it a lot and maybe it foreshadows something that's happening later, it's usually not important to know exactly what they had for breakfast that morning. So that would not be a good part of your summary. You need to think, as you're reading, is this important to what happens in the story? If it's not important, don't include it in your summary. If it is important, like they were on their way to school and all of a sudden a dog ran out in front of them, well, that's probably going to be important because I bet something's going to happen with the dog. Like maybe they're going to rescue it and take it home, or they're going to spend the whole time trying to find the owner. So as you're reading, make sure you're thinking, is this event important, or is it just setting the scene, like eating bacon for breakfast? Please make sure you're paying attention. A lot of you are zoning out. So good readers summarize as they go. This is what I've been trying to help you with all year. Don't read for your 30 minutes and then go back and summarize, because you may forget important events, or you may only summarize one little piece. Summarize as you read. Every paragraph or every page, stop and think, okay, what did I just read? What was important in what I just read? What wasn't so important? What should I write a sentence or two about this small piece that I just read? That way, you can get to the end and you know, okay, these were important. This was the main idea. This is how I got from the beginning of the story to the end. Some of you are still zoning out. I'm not here just to talk. When you're reading, there are events that happen that make the reading more interesting or enjoyable. But just because it's interesting or funny or enjoyable, does that necessarily mean it's really important and needs to go in a summary? No. Because maybe for breakfast one morning their mom made smiley face pancakes and describing the smiley face pancakes was really funny. But do you think that them having smiley face pancakes, even though it was funny, is that necessarily going to be important to what happens in the end of the story, where they find the dog and they spend the rest of the time trying to find its owner? Probably not. So be thinking, even if it's funny and it's interesting, that doesn't always necessarily mean it's important. You have to think, did this lead anywhere or was it just mentioned? If it was just mentioned, do you think you need to include it in your summary? Zadie? No. Okay, so what we're going to do is as we read these stories in this chapter, we are going to be summarizing. Go ahead and open your book to page 540. Page 540. Page 540. Has a little girl reading a book, and it looks like in the background we see other books. Okay, so look at the picture. Carla, that should probably have been in your reading folder a long time ago. There should be no extra pages in your book. You need to follow directions. Now's not the time to put that in there because then we're not going to wait for you. That should have been put in when I said put that in your reading folder instead of just leaving it. Okay, so I'm going to read the talk about it, look at the picture, and think of your answer. This is a talk about it, so I'm going to look for one person to answer the question. I'm going to pick a stick, so be ready with an answer. Librarians have more than books. In what other ways can you learn at the library? I'm going to give you a minute to think of an answer. Libraries have more than books. In what other ways can you learn at the library? Carla.
Another way that you can learn is to open a book that is...
Well, this says they have more than books. So we're looking for ways other than books that you can learn at the library.
You can ask the librarian, can you use the computer to look up something?
So they have computers. Anything else? Smith?
They have DVDs.
They have DVDs.
With information on them.
Like documentaries. Anything else? Aaron?
They have games like puzzles.
Sometimes they have puzzles and games. Zari?
Audio books.
They have audio books. Michaela? Colin?
I don't know if this counts, but tablets.
Okay. Sometimes they have tablets.
Did I say what Carla said?
Okay. A lot of libraries have old newspapers, old magazines, computers. Some libraries have exhibits in them where you can learn. And then, of course, librarians are very knowledgeable, so you can learn straight from a librarian sometimes. How are we supposed to behave in a library? Mason? Yep, you can't run around or talk a lot. You need to be quiet. You need to respect the library as a place that people go to gain knowledge. And if you are being loud and wild, are they going to be able to focus on gaining knowledge? Nope. Okay, go ahead and turn the page. And please start with the title and the author, Smith. And as we read, we are going to figure out what are the most important events that we would add to a summary of this story. Go ahead.
A library card for Emilio by Suzanne Pinto. Courier will miss the bus to the library, Emilio, called Mrs. Mendoza. The Mendoza family had moved to Boston from
Spanish. So how would we say that?
In San Juan, Puerto Rico last month, and Emilio was going to get his library card today.
Okay, so let's think. Let's look at this paragraph. There are two things that happen. First of all, they almost missed the bus. Second of all, it says Emilio is going to get his library card. Based on the title of this story, which of those do you think is more important? Almost missing the bus or getting a library card? Michaela?
Getting a library.
Getting a library card. So we can go ahead and put our first sentence. How should we put that in our own words? As the first sentence of our summary, Michaela.
Emilio. Oh.
It can be close.
Emilio is about to go get his library card.
Okay? Emilio is about to get a library card. Now, maybe it'll be important to add that he almost missed the bus. But let's keep reading to figure out, is that important or was that just setting the scene? Aaron, read next.
On the bus, Emilio's grandmother noticed something peculiar. Emilio was very quiet and looked rather sad. Is something wrong, honey?
So now, where are they? Where are they now? Where are they? Carla.
Right now, they're on the bus.
They're on the bus. So, do we need to go back and add that they almost missed the bus to our summary? No, because did they miss the bus? So, is that really important or is that just setting the scene? Carla?
Setting the scene.
It's just setting the scene. So, Aaron, keep reading. And let's see if this is an important event.
Emilio snuffled and took out a tissue to blow his nose. My speaking of English is not very good. What if the librarian lady is not able to understand what I'm saying? He said.
Okay? Do you think this part is important? Do you think this part is important that he's worried? Aaron?
Yes.
Let's keep reading to find out. Because sometimes we may think something is important, but we need to keep reading. If they keep talking about it, then yes, it's probably important. If they don't, we can think, okay, it probably wasn't so important. Kingston, please read next.
Emilio snuffled.
Nope, we already read that. Please follow along and pay attention. Zadie, please read next.
Your English gets better and better every day. I'm 100% positive that the librarian will understand you. Miss Mendoza said confidently. I am sure that you will be able to take some books home today.
So, did they keep talking about his worry? Or did we just start talking about something entirely different? Smith.
We started to talk about something different.
Did we? What was he worried about?
The librarian not being able to understand.
And then what did his mom start to tell him? Did she talk about something entirely different?
No.
No. What did she do?
She told him that she thinks the librarian will be able to understand.
So does that have to do with him being worried?
Yes.
So did they keep talking about his worry?
Yes.
So what would the next important event be? In your own words. He's about to get a library card. And what did we just read 3 paragraphs about?
Emilio being worried that the librarian won't be able to understand.
Okay, but we need to write that in a sentence because Emilio being worried is not Emilio being worried about the librarian not being able to understand him is not a complete sentence. That being changes it. So how could we write that in your own words as our next sentence in our summary?
Emilio was worried that the librarian would not understand him.
Good. But we're going to put it in present tense because we started in present tense with is, so we don't all of a sudden want to change it, make it past tense with was. So first, Emilio is about to get a library card. Next, Emilio is worried the librarian won't understand him. Okay, so make sure that you're really thinking. The second paragraph, Emilio's grandmother notices something is weird. The third paragraph that comes next, Emilio says why he's feeling weird, because he's worried. And then the fourth paragraph that comes next, his grandmother is reassuring him. So all three of those paragraphs are about his worry. So that is an important event. First, we see what the worry looks like. Then Emilio names the worry. Then his grandmother tries to reassure that worry. So that is important. Okay. Zadie, go ahead and read that. Keep reading.
Inside the library, there were lots of people. Some were reading magazines and newspapers. Others were selecting books that they wanted to borrow from the shelves.
So let's look at that paragraph. Do you think there's anything important that we need to add to our summary? Lena? No. Why?
Because there isn't an important point. It's just telling how the library, the people in the library, what they're doing.
So it's not really naming an important event. It's just, again, setting the scene. It's letting us know they're in the library now by telling us things we would expect to see in a library. Okay, read next. Michaela.
May I help you with?
A little louder.
May I help you with anything? Asked the librarian. She was smiling and seemed friendly. Emilio
So here's the base verb. How would you say that? How would you say that sound? Okay.
stuttered.
Stutter, but now make it past tense.
Oh, stuttered.
There you go. So read the sentence again.
Emilio stuttered a little as he began to explain. I am here for my library books.
Oh, you left out 2 words. I am here for my...
For my card for library books.
Okay. So he's just met the librarian, and he's telling her why he's there. But we already knew that was going to happen, right? That's the whole point of this. So do you think we need to add that he met the librarian? No, because we already knew that was going to happen. So let's see what happens next to see if we do need to add something about this part to our story. Mason, keep reading.
That's just terrific, said the librarian. He asked him to complete a form that considered...
Not considered, but...
Consisted. She asked him to complete a form that consisted of questions about Emilio and where he and his family live.
Okay. Do you think there's anything important in that paragraph? What's the whole point of this story? Guys, a lot of you are zoning out. This lesson is not going to mean anything if you're not ready to focus and follow along. What's the title of this story, Zari?
A library card for Emilio.
A library card for Emilio. What has just happened that Mason just read? Zari.
the librarian was asking him some questions, and she's seeming friendly.
Okay, that didn't just happen. That was what Michaela read. What just happened? Aaron. Did that just happen? Did we read that he's about to get his library card? Is there anything that says, I'm about to give you this library card? What just happened? Kingston.
Emilio's filling out the form for Elaine.
So he's filling it out. Is he filling it out in this paragraph? Does it say Emilio started to answer the questions or something like that?
Oh, no. She asked, the librarian asked Emilio.
So what did she do? Did she just ask him? Did she just ask him? Did she say, here, I have this form, can you please fill it out? Or something like that?
She asked him to complete the form on the library card.
Okay. Do you think that's important? That she's asking him or that she's giving him a form? Do you think that's important to getting a library card?
Yes.
Why? What would happen if she didn't give him the form? He wouldn't get a library card. So how can we put that in our own words to say that's the next important event?
The librarian asked Emilio if he could fill out the form for the library card.
So the librarian asks, we're not going to make it past tense, we started in present, is, so we're going to say asks, not asked. Remember, when we start writing in one tense, we stay in that tense. Some of you have trouble with that. You switch from past to present to future and back and forth. When you start writing in a certain tense, you keep it in that tense. So all verbs, if you start in present tense, need to be in present tense. The librarian asks Emilio to fill out a form for the library card. This is important. Like we talked about earlier, just because an event, the way something is written is exciting or funny, doesn't necessarily mean it's important. It's the opposite is true too. This paragraph doesn't seem that exciting. She's just giving him a form, but it is important because if he didn't get the form, would he get the library card? No. So just because something is funny or interesting doesn't make it important. Just because something it seems kind of just doesn't mean it's not important. Because without this happening, would the story be able to continue? Would he get his library card? No. Okay. Mason, keep reading.
Mrs.
Mendoza.
Mendoza smiled. She noticed that her grandson had no trouble understanding the form. He filled it in quickly and returned to the librarian.
Do you think this might be important yet? I don't know. Let's see. Smith, read next. Wait, you already read. Kingston, read next. A little louder.
It will take a few minutes.
Oh, you're leaving out words. Slow down and use your finger.
It will take me a few minutes to process your card, Emilio, said the librarian. Why don't you select a few books to borrow then? If you're in advanced reading, you might want to look over there.
Please use your finger because you're stumbling over your words and you're skipping out words, and if you were using your finger, it would be less likely to happen. Start with if and reread that sentence.
If you're an advanced reader, you might want to look over there.
There you go. Keep going.
Thank you, said Emilio.
This is in Spanish. I feel like you guys have learned this word before.
I know, I said I'm just understanding.
Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
A boy left Amelia whispered to Mrs.
Louder, we can't hear you.
Abuela, Amelia whispered to Mrs. Mendoza, my English must be better than I thought.
So, what happened in the end? What happened in the end? Zadie.
Emilio realized that he actually was good at speaking English.
What made him realize that? What made him realize that he's better than he thought? Aaron?
When the librarian understood him.
Not just when the librarian understood him, because he didn't really talk much to the librarian. All he said was, I'm here for my card for library books. Lena?
He noticed that he could understand English better because when he filled out the form, he could understand everything on the form.
Good. Look deeper. Don't just go with the first answer that comes to your head. Find the evidence. When you just come to the first answer from your head, a lot of times there's no evidence for that, so it's just a guess. But when you find the evidence, like Lena knew, it wasn't just that the librarian understood him, because she couldn't find any evidence that said the librarian understood exactly his words. Because he only really said one sentence to her. But she found the evidence where it said, Mrs. Mendoza smiled. She noticed that her grandson had no trouble understanding the form, not the librarian. Not the librarian having no trouble understanding Emilio, but that Emilio had no trouble understanding the form. She knows this because he filled it out quickly. So, Lena, in your own words, how can we include those two thoughts? He understood the form, and he realized his English is better than he thought. Into one sentence, in your own words.
Filled out the form quickly.
Emilio fills out. Remember, we're using fills, not filled. I think you said fills, but just pointing that out. Emilio fills out the form quickly.
And he is excited that he understands English.
Good. Emilio fills out the form quickly, comma, and he is excited that he understands English. So again, even though filling out form, being given a form and then filling it out is not exciting, it's still important. Because if he hadn't filled this form out quickly, would he know that he was better at English than he thought? No. First of all, if he hadn't received the form, he wouldn't get the library card. He also, if he had not received the form, would he have realized he was better at English than he thought? So was the whole point of this story getting a library card, or was it somebody understanding something about themselves? Cullen.
Understanding something about their
So what was the main idea of this story? Carla.
The main idea was that Emilio had figured out that he's really good at English.
Good. The main idea of this story is not that Emilio gets a library card. Do we even see him get the library card? No. The main idea of this story is actually that through filling out these forms, Emilio has learned something about himself. He's better at English than he thought. But he realized this by going to the library to try to get a library card. So that's what's important about summarizing. It helps you realize. Did you think that this story was going to be about somebody growing in their thoughts? No, you thought it was going to be a story about a kid going to the library and getting a library card. But through summarizing, we realize, hey, that's not the main idea. The main idea is actually that any small little thing can help us grow as a person and learn about ourselves. So we're going to keep doing this as we read. Notice that I didn't just summarize one part, like them being on the bus. or them being in the library, I summarize the whole story. Every paragraph or two, we stopped and we figured out what happened and was that important? Did we need to add it to our summary? Sometimes we did, sometimes we didn't. Sometimes we had to read a little further to see if we needed to add it. We weren't sure yet. Like here. When we stopped, we said, well, he's getting a form. I don't know if that's really important. But then when we kept reading, we're like, oh, that was important. So, that's what we're working on. We're working on summarizing. We're working on stopping every few paragraphs and thinking what happened, was it important? We're working on stopping every few paragraphs and being like, I'm not really sure if that was important yet. Let me keep reading to see if it becomes important. So, look at the front of the reading homework with the vocab. Numbers 1 through 6 are fill in the blank with the correct vocab word. Notice you have 6 questions and 6 vocab words, so you're going to use each one once. Numbers 7 and 8, you have to write your own sentence using one of the vocab words. Because you're using all 6 in the fill in the blank, you can just pick 2, whichever 2 you'd like to use. Now, this is where it gets a little different. You have 2 extra problems. It says, write a definition of the listed word using your own words. So in your own words, what do each of these words mean? You're not copying the definition from your notebook. You're writing what they mean in your own words. So does everybody understand that? For numbers 9 and 10, are you copying the definition from your vocab notebook? No, you're using your own words to define it. It does not have to be a complete sentence. Are definitions complete sentences? No. So you just have to think in your own words. Now, if you use some of the words from the definition, that's okay. But they shouldn't be in the same order, and it shouldn't be exactly the same as the one we have on the board, okay? Yes, quickly. Okay.
You don't want to put me on my definition.
Huh?
I don't want to put how I put the definition.
Uh-huh.
I just don't think of it. You can put that to be
No, you have to use your own words. You cannot copy it from your notebook or from the glossary. You have to use your own words. Okay, then on the back. Look at the back. Look at the back of your homework. Read the box at the top. Use what your notes say. Your notes have one of the answers to one of these questions. And using that answer to one of these questions, you can come up with the answers to 2 others. Okay? Your notes have one of the answers to one of these questions. Once you figure out which answer your notes has, the other 2 of the others will be easy to figure out. And then you'll use that to do the last one. Okay? You're reading this summary. You're reading this short passage. You're answering 3 questions about it, and then you're writing a summary. Your notes have one of the answers in it. You can just copy the answer from your notes and then use that answer to answer 2 others. Okay? If you're paying attention, you'll find it easily, and then you'll summarize the passage for the 4th question. Okay, any questions about reading homework? Put that in return to school, and then get ready for social studies. You should already be ready for social studies. Make sure you have your social studies notebook out and open. This needs to go in return to school. Your vocab notebook needs to be open to the first clean page in the social studies section. Thank you to those of you who were ready. Some of you, even though you did not finish grammar, you still had plenty of time to get ready.